When you receive your FX Wildcat magazine holder, it's going to be fully assembled. So the first thing you're going to need to do is find a Phillips number 1 or number 0 screwdriver and take it apart. You see that there's 3 screws. One of them goes with a nut, and then the 2 clamshell pieces. We're going to start with the larger of the 2 clamshell pieces, and we're going to put the nut into the nut hole, and then take the entire piece while you hold the nut with your thumb and or your finger in this case, and raise it up to the gun and put it into the rearmost hole. Now, if I can do this while I'm holding the camera, then I think you can manage, but the trick is you're probably going to need to hold the nut in place with your thumb. Next, we're going to move to the smaller of the 2 clamshell pieces and the 3 screws. The first thing to do is to go ahead and fit the smaller clamshell piece into the left side of the gun, that is the non-breech side of the gun. And you can kind of get it to stay in place there long enough for you to grab the screw that goes with the nut. That would be not the self-tapping screw, the other kind of screw, and go ahead and put it in the center hole. And it's important that you just get this started, and what you're going to want to do is get it started a little bit, and then you're going to want to press the 2 clamshell pieces together such that there is less than about a 1/16 of an inch gap between the 2 pieces. If you can push them all the way together, that's great, but it's really important to have about less than a 1/16 of an inch. And as you see here, I'm trying to point out where that gap is. You'll be able to see it in all the holes going through on both ends. So you really want that to be a 1/16 inch or less on both the front and the back and in the middle. After that, you can go ahead and tighten down the middle a little bit more. Probably wouldn't tighten it all the way, just enough to kind of get the nut engaged. Then go ahead and grab the 2 self-tapping screws. But before you do that, check and make sure that that gap where the tapping screws are going to go is pretty slim, so that you don't end up stripping the plastic. If you do strip the plastic, it's not a super big deal. Just put some super glue down the hole and let it dry for a while, and then go ahead and reapply the tapping screw after maybe an hour or so. Or you can also put a piece of a toothpick down the hole. That's an old carpenter's trick. So go ahead and finish screwing in the tapping screws, making sure again that it's closing down the clamshell. Once you engage the screws, you don't want to over tighten these. That's super important, but I usually kind of do my best to kind of work them over one by one until I get that gap completely closed. But as soon as it's closed and those screws are flush, you don't want to turn the screws anymore, or you'll end up stripping out the screws, because this is a PLA plastic holder. So take a look real carefully when you're done. Make sure that that gap is closed. You should see it closed everywhere on the holder. This isn't rocket science, but it's important that it's closed. Otherwise, when you put the magazines in, it will cause them to rattle a little bit. So it's time to add the magazines now. You can go ahead and check it out. They should just click really nicely into the holes. It's important that you note that the larger end of the ball bearing side, the point or the side where you add the pellets from, that is the side that goes to the back. It's exactly the same as loading into the breech of the gun. So there you go. You've got a magazine holder. Congratulations.